Yo, what's going on, guys? My name's Nick. He's Sam. This is our
What's
first
up, guy?
podcast together, and we're going to be talking about the NHL and what's going on around the league. So, today's topics, we're thinking Tom Wilson, obviously huge in the news right now, and some uh, playoff predictions, I guess. So, let's get started. So, first things first, Tom Wilson. Sam, I'm going to ask you, what do you think? Do you think his penalty was correct? Because this is obviously what everyone's talking about.
Well, obviously one could argue it's a little dirty. You have Rangers fans, you got Cats fans fighting on each side, but in reality, I think it should have been at least a little bit of a penalty, maybe a minor. He was punching when he was down, but it's hockey. You have the brutal parts of it.
I like that answer. So, what we say is personally because we're Caps fans. So if it seems like we're taking a side of the Caps, it's because we are. So, if I just want to clear that up. So, but I think obviously he took it too far, slamming Panarin into the ice with no helmet on, and people say he almost killed him. I don't know about that, but it was too far. Probably suspension, not like as huge as he's had in the past. But yeah, let's take a look of how bad this was. So you can see right there, Wilson cheap shots. I'll say cheap shot because he did. He cheap shots Pavel Buchnevich in the head or back of the neck
That's
when he's
right.
down and vulnerable. And you could see Ryan Strome climbing on his back. And Sam, would this anger you as a defenseman? If if someone's digging at your goalie and you're gonna step up for your guy and someone's on your back, would this anger you?
That's furious. You see it all around the league. Every defenseman is going to be protective of their goalie. Even and not even in the NHL, even in a travel club, everyone's going to be protective of their goalie.
Yeah, and I think Wilson was protecting his goalie, but I don't know if hitting the guy in the back of the head was necessary. But you can see Ryan Strome grabbing Tom Wilson by the neck. By the neck, mind you,
Yep.
it's by the neck. So let's keep going. So you see Ryan Strome wrestles Tom Wilson to the ground pretty much headlocks him and throws him back. So, this is like the start of it. So let me just play it.
And you got Nick Dowd on top of him, too.
And you see Panarin. Panarin jumps on Wilson, jumps. Look at him. He's in the air. He jumps on Wilson, thinking he's not going to react. So as you see, Panarin tries to help, well, not help, but tries to get Tom Wilson controlled, I guess. And he's obviously mad because he hit Buchnevich in the head. So he's protecting his teammate. But Sam, do you think this was an obvious mismatch? Because I think it was.
Tom Wilson, I feel like the whole situation was a little bit of a lot better, actually. If Pavel Buchnevich was on the ice standing up and Tom Wilson gave him a couple, not really punches, but a couple pushes, I feel like that would have been normal. But hitting him on the ice, on the ground, that made it over the top, and Panarin stepped in, and he got into the ring with a bull. So I would say there's a lot of testosterone flowing through him because I don't think he knew what he was doing messing with Wilson, man. That's a death wish right there, and he got what was coming. But it's hockey, sadly.
Yeah, and did Tom Wilson have to do this? No, he could have just grabbed Panarin, and it all would have ended.
Sorry about that.
So Panarin grabbing Wilson is obviously asking for a death wish because you got Panarin. I don't even think he's 6 foot. and he's trying to get in the face of 6'4", almost like 230 maybe. Tom Wilson,
True.
he's a monster. He hits people for a living, kills people. Well, not kills, but obviously hits a lot. And did Tom Wilson have to grab Panarin, yank his helmet off, throw him to the ice? No, he could have just held him. And me as a Caps fan, I was not mad by this, but I was a little skeptical of why he did that. What do you think happened really? Because like, I mean, do you think he had to do that?
I mean, I wouldn't say it was one of his normal fights. I mean, normally like he would keep it standing. You know what I'm saying? Like keep it standing, like have an old fashioned brawl. But I feel like anger just got to the both of them. And like as one could say, like if a Rangers fan were to do this, it would have been a little bit different. But like as a Cats fan, I felt like Panarin stepped in the ring, and anything can happen in the ring. That's what people say.
Yep. And what my little um thought of my head is that what I a lot of people don't mention this, but I watched that entire game. People were all over Wilson, whacking him and hitting him and basically making him even more mad. And I think he just took that anger out on Panarin. But did he have to? No. Did he almost assault him and kill him? No. I think that's completely crap.
Concussion at most.
Yeah, that's what I think happened though. He got a concussion. But they didn't almost kill him. And Tom Wilson is not psychotic. I've seen that. This YouTuber Alyssa Hope, she's saying Tom Wilson has issues in his head, and that's completely crap. So, moving on, we're gonna take a look at the game after.
Oh boy.
Well, they like to call it the next World War of the Rangers and the Caps. So we're gonna take a look at this. Oh, actually, before we get to that, I forgot about this. We're gonna take a look at what the Rangers put out. So the Rangers obviously put out a statement because they were mad that Wilson didn't get suspended or kicked out of the league, and he was fined a little bit to a hockey player, $5,000. So the Rangers put out their statement, and I think they knew when they put that out, they were trying to prove a point, obviously, but they were going to get fined because in the past I've seen teams getting fined for $100,000 saying something little, and they went into this. They're saying the Department of Player Safety head of Department of Player Safety needs to be fired because he doesn't know what's going on, and that, in my opinion, is too far. What do you think, Sam?
I mean, well, this is coming from Rangers fan base trying to protect their players, but I mean, it is going a little bit too far. I don't know if I would say 250,000. I mean, they do. I would say the Rangers community feels very sensitive, but I think a fine should be in place because they are basically just calling out everybody. I mean, head of safety, commissioner, just like, I mean, I would feel bad, but I feel like you said you were right. I think they knew what they were doing, trying to come out and make a point, and they paid the price.
That's a good answer. So now we're going to get into the next game where everyone knew the Rangers were just going to target Tom Wilson because he was playing. So off the start, 100 penalty minutes in the first period. What do you think about that?
Jeez Louise. I mean, that just tells you what you're about to see right here. A lot of brawls.
So an opening line brawl between the Caps fourth line and the Rangers third or fourth line. I'm not sure, but it is crazy because I don't know whose idea. Obviously, the Rangers wanted to get revenge on Wilson, but I don't think starting a line brawl off the start was a great idea because they did lose that game. The Rangers lost.
Yep.
So, I mean, it didn't help them, but I mean, I don't know if this was necessary. And there was about 6 fights in the first period. Like, that is crazy. I've never seen it before. So more through the game, we see this. Mr. Cheap Shot in the back of the net, Pavel Buchnevich decides to cross-check our new player, Anthony Mantha, in the head. What do you think about this?
I mean, this just goes to show you that, this one wasn't like a real, I would say, like fight. I mean, in the beginning, Anthony Mantha was like, I would say, kind of just like messing with them, poking at him, getting ready to just whacking with his stick a little bit in the leg. But then when Anthony Mantha turns around, you can see like he's getting ready to like do something to Pavel, but like not really like cross-check him in the face. I think this intent should be fine, but I mean, it's whatever's going to happen later. But I feel like this was completely wrong in Pavel's end, and Anthony Mantha, as you can see, his sticks a little on Pavel. I feel like he was going to do something lighter, but nothing to the face like Pavel did. It's unacceptable.
And mind you, they did suspend Buchnevich for 1 game. And this, as a Rangers fan, would probably make you mad because they're thinking they're suspending this, but not for what Wilson did, almost killing our star player. And I mean,
Sure.
totally unnecessary.
Yeah.
This is hard to see as a player. Someone getting cross-checked in the head. That would really hurt, especially if it hit him square in the nose, which I think he got a little lucky. But he did want to fight him. Mantha did want to fight him, and I think Buchnevich was a little scared.
Yep.
All right, so through the game, we see the fights, obviously, but we also see our boy TJ Oshie getting a hat trick in his first game back from when his dad died. Now, how special do you think this was to him?
I mean, words can't describe it probably. I mean, as you saw back when the Caps won the Cup, he really cared about his dad. As we could see, I mean, we didn't expect this. We didn't expect his dad dying so suddenly in the last game where he couldn't play. And I remember he gave like a really heartfelt speech during that game, and he was like, "My dad doesn't remember this, but he'll remember anything, but like he'll remember this one for life." And he probably did. I believe he did, and it's really special to TJ. And rest in peace, Coach.
Yeah, he was not old at all. Great guy.
Very sad.
But yeah, it's our world, and we're living in it. So now we're gonna switch topics. Finally, we're gonna stop with the Caps for a little bit, and we're gonna talk about playoffs. Playoffs are coming up. People are clinching.
Sure.
There's races. Who's gonna get that last spot? This is, in my opinion, the best time of the year. This and the Cup final is the best time of the year. What do you think?
Yep. I mean, some divisions are very tight right now. It's looking very good. I mean, some teams have clinched, some teams haven't. I mean, it's a race, baby. It's a race.
So we're going to take a look at the standings right now. So obviously Carolina and Tampa, red hot. Okay. 3 and a lot of divisions, actually. 3 or 2 teams, or even 4. Like in the Captain's division, everyone's clinched. So a lot of teams are clinching. And then you see this division, Nashville and Dallas are, I'd say, if Dallas can win 2 games, they're tied with Nashville if Nashville loses a couple. And it's close. It's really close for the Central Division. You got anything to say about the division?
I mean, who would expect for the Florida Panthers to go 18-5 this year? So far. They're third. They already clinched a spot. They're going to the playoffs. I want to see what this team can do. And Carolina, they really peaked over the last couple of years too. And now Florida's starting to peak. This division could get red hot in a couple of years.
Agreed. And Florida has some really good weapons down there. They got Their captain, Barkov, very good player. They got their Jonathan Huberdeau. He's a great passer, and he's really good at scoring. And then you got dudes like Anthony Duclair, not talked about a lot, but a very good player, an all-star.
Do.
And then we look at Nashville and Dallas. Dallas, this whole year, I'll be honest, I did not think Dallas was that good. They were always in the bottom half. But now they look like they can somehow make the playoffs. And reminder, Tyler Seguin just came back 2 games ago, and he has 2 goals already. It's his first time since the Cup, so obviously he's been out for a while. I think Chicago's done. We already knew Columbus and Detroit were not going to make the playoffs, unfortunate. So let's take a look at another division, the West. So yeah, you can see here a 3 clincher. The Vegas is red hot. I think Colorado can probably win it all. And then Minnesota, surprise. The Wild are one of the most surprising teams this year. What do you think?
I feel like the Wild are doing really good, but you can also see the skill gap between all of these teams. Look at it. It goes from 71 to 56 from 3 to 4th. That you can already tell that the division's top 3 are going to maybe, I wouldn't say go farther, but they have more potential. But Minnesota's doing really good this year.
They got Kaprizov, potential rookie of the year. And then you look at this division and you see the three alphas, I would say. And when you see this, I would love to watch one of these playoff series. Like if Colorado has to play Minnesota, that would be probably one of the best playoff series of the year, besides the conference finals. But if you look at this, the 4 and the 5 spots aren't super close, semi-close, not as bad as the Wild and the Blues comparison, but the Blues they're in it. They're in the playoffs, in my opinion. I think they're in the playoffs. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know. I believe it's only 2 more games left. I think Arizona might have more than 2, but the only most possible way is if St. Louis loses all the rest of their games and Arizona wins the rest of their games. So it's very unlikely, very slight chance, but it is most likely very unlikely, and the Blues will most likely take that 4th spot.
And Vegas, obviously, team to watch out for. They've been good ever since they started, 3 years ago. First year Cup, and then last year they lost early, but I'm pretty sure they were the top seed. And then you got a team like Colorado with super young, super good players, and Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, and Mikko Rantanen. And they also, this is not talked about a lot, but they have a really good tendy in Philip Grubauer.
Yep. Took him from us.
Yep. He was a former Cap backup. So let's move on to the East, or the Mass Mutual East, whatever you want to say. So as you can see, playoff spots are set. The Caps, Penguins, Bruins, and Islanders are in. Now it's just a matter of who's going to play who. And as you can see, the Caps are first because they have a higher percentage right now. But they are tied with Pittsburgh in points. The Caps have less losses, I should say. But when you look at this division, Sam, what do you think? These 4 teams, what do you think?
I'm thinking that whatever team is matched up in this division, no matter if it's Washington, Pittsburgh, Boston, Pittsburgh, Islanders, and Caps, it is going to be a great series. And it's going to be, I just can't wait in my opinion, but I'm thinking game 5s, game 7s, because it's going to be a hard-fought battle. And not only, while the Rangers were messing around with the Caps yesterday, the past couple of games, they forgot that they need to clinch a playoff spot. So the past couple of games, if the Rangers were on their grind and not messing around, I mean, even though with all the stuff that happened and played to their best ability, they could have probably, I mean, according to statistics, probably not likely, but they could have clinched a playoff spot.
Um,
Islanders.
I think a surprise this year is that last year Philly going to the second round in the playoffs, not easy. Mind you, that's super hard as a team in the league. But you're going from a team that's they could have won the cup last year, and now they're in sixth place, and they're really in the bin. I thought they would be a good team this year, but obviously they've been a little sucky lately. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I mean, in the beginning of the year, I remember their time they were first in the beginning of the year. I mean, it was a very sad downfall. And once they lost 3 games, they lost 5 games. Once they lost 5 games, they lost even more games. I mean, it was very sad to see, in my opinion. And not even talking about Buffalo.
Yeah, the Buffalo is just we don't even know what's going on over there. They're just losing. All right, so let's take a look at the Canadian teams. Final division. You got 3 teams that clinched, and I think Montreal should clinch. Obviously, it's a 10-point difference, so I think we have those 4 set up. And when you look at the top 2 teams, because the top 2 teams scare me the most as a Caps fan. If we had to play one of these teams, what do you think?
Oh no, man! It's very hard to tell because we haven't seen these teams play, obviously because of COVID and everything. But it will be a hard fought battle. I'm telling you, Toronto, Austin Matthews. I would say Cats. I would say Connor Sheary. He's kind of, I wouldn't say like an underground player, but he doesn't get to deserve all the credit he truly gets. But I feel like these teams will battle, especially Edmonton. Connor McDavid, almost 100 points in a 56 game season. That is crazy.
Yeah, that's almost 2 points a game. But yeah, as you said, none of these teams have played each other this whole season, so they can only watch to see what's coming for them. And Toronto is probably a really good team. I know they are a good team. Edmonton, they had the 2 best. I would say 2 best point scorers, point getters in the league, in Connor McDavid and Draisaitl. And then you got a team like Winnipeg. And I'll be honest, when they lost Patrick Laine, I thought they were done, but obviously they proved me wrong. Well, what did you think when they lost Patrick Laine?
I mean, I have to agree with you. I knew it was going to be a tough loss. They still have some weapons. They still have Scheifele. They still have, I forgot their winger, Kyle Connor. They still got some weapons, but when they lost Laine, I feel like they're going to lose some juice like that little sprint to get to the playoffs. But I mean, they proved me wrong.
I think they could be underrated maybe. Mind you, this is a really hard division. Okay, you got probably the 2 hottest teams in the league with the best players, almost the best players, and you got teams like Vancouver, playing them. So it's just really not fair. And obviously, there's times Vancouver will win, but I think this division is super different in the skill base, because you can see Montreal is 10 points in front of Calgary. So that's really proving that this division isn't equal at all. And I'm not saying every division needs to be equal, but I don't know. This is not it. And then you look at a team like Montreal. Tyler Toffoli, great season. Almost he obviously, I don't think he'll catch Matthews, but he's up there. Great player. But the Canadians also underrated. They could be dangerous. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever be back to the old times when they were just straight winners back in the day. But I mean, they're also getting some new weapons like Cole Caulfield. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, hopefully he can spark some up in the franchise. But I mean, by looking at on paper, I mean, they're most likely going to clinch that spot, and hopefully we'll see what we can do from there.
If they do, which they probably will, they're gonna have to play a powerhouse in Toronto, which probably frightens them. And I'll be honest, I think they can do it. Toronto's been known for choking to Boston a lot, and I think Montreal can overpower them maybe. With you gotta play them right. You gotta shut down certain players, and then they can win.
Yep.
All right, so our last topic, we're gonna look at the Stanley Cup odds this year. Well, right now. So obviously you got we'll talk about each team's like I wouldn't say like high, but like a lot. But we'll give a little description of each team. So you obviously got Colorado versus them. Young squad. I'll let you comment on them because I already said something.
I mean, Colorado Avalanche. I mean, obviously the pick of the year. I mean, everyone's always talking about them. They're not just I wouldn't say they're not just a first line anymore, as people would normally say. I mean, I think they're shaping into a real team.
Vegas. Vegas, obviously, great team this year. Well, every year. But yeah, they can make it to the cup, but can they win? We still have not. Well, we found out that they couldn't win against the Caps, but
Yep.
Against other teams, if that happens, Toronto, obviously, powerhouse team. And when I look at Toronto, I look at look at the difference in the young generation and the old generation. I see Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, great young players. Mitch Marner is actually really underrated this season. He's
very top.
Yeah. And then you got guys like Joe Thornton, veteran, Morgan Riley, he's up there. They're both veterans. And what I think they help with is team leading and handling losses. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I mean, true captains at heart, and some on the sweater. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I would really say setting a goal for the team and inspiring all the young bucks to play harder every single game.
Okay. Moving on, got Carolina. Again, young. They got some young talent. Sebastian Aho, Shmesnikov. I did not think they'd be this good this year, but I get obviously they are.
Yep.
Tampa Bay just came off a cup, so it was pretty obvious they were going to be up there in the standings and the cup odds, obviously. And now you'd look at a team like Boston. Boston, before this trade deadline, before they got Taylor Hall, they weren't amazing. But now they're in front of the Caps in Stanley Cup odds, and they're, mind you, they're third in the division. Obviously, you got Marchand. He's scoring a lot of goals. Pasternak, not that great this season. But that line is so scary. I would be scared as a player if I had to play against that line. How scary would it be as a defenseman if you and your buddy are defending Marchand, Bergeron, and Pasternak on a 3-on-2?
The only we could really do was just skate. I mean, NHL players, NHL caliber. I mean, I'd say we're gonna get dusted in the hockey world. We'll get dusted. Very scary.
And the Caps, I wouldn't say I agree with this. The Caps in like 8th place. I don't know about that, but
Higher
obviously,
than Boston.
yeah. Pittsburgh, a little surprising. You got the whole East Division right here. Penguins surprising to me. They got some good players, and Crosby, of course. And then when I take a look at the Islanders, coming off a conference final season out of nowhere, they're obviously going to be good cup contenders. They're a good team, but they've been a little sluggish lately. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, they had a fall against the Caps, but like you said, they've been sluggish. But in the beginning, they were a powerhouse. I mean, one could argue these next two teams about to mention should be a little higher on the list.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see these. The Oilers, Connor McDavid, Draisaitl. Obviously not their whole team, but that's who everyone talks about. And a lot of people don't think they go deep in the playoffs because they don't have 4 good lines, and I would agree with that. You got McDavid on the first line, Draisaitl could play with him, and then you got a second line. Draisaitl could obviously be on that, but then you got the third and the fourth line. If like guys like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who haven't been amazing in the past and right now,
Yamamoto.
but I don't think they have a full developed team. But I think they can be dangerous in a couple years, obviously. The Florida Panthers. I'm just gonna let you take this one away. I'll let you take this away.
I would say too low. I mean, I wouldn't say they should be really high, but compared to their growth out of this season, I think they should definitely be higher than some of the teams. I'm not trying to pick on Boston or anything, but I think they should be higher than Boston. Like I said, the Caps should be higher than Boston. Not to pick on you Boston fans, but I mean, just look at the Panthers. They're a straight powerhouse this season.
Yeah, that is definitely true. The Wild are up here. Obviously, they clinched. And again, I don't think they're a full team. They got a couple good lines. I can't remember the forwards right this second, but I know they have some pretty good players. You got Matt Dumba on the defensive end. He's a good player, but I don't think they're good enough to win or go far or go deep. But who knows? This is just my opinion.
Yeah.
2019 champions, the Blues.
Oh boy.
I haven't personally watched a lot of Blues games or seen a lot of Blues highlights. What do you think? I haven't. Have you seen a lot about the Blues?
I mean, I wouldn't say I've seen a lot, but looking at it from NHL Network, I mean, it's kind of just ups and downs, kind of. I mean, sometimes I'd see good games, sometimes I wouldn't see good games, but they're projected to be in the playoffs, so hopefully they can make something out of that.
And here we have the 2 underrated Canadian teams with the Canadiens and the Jets. Obviously, they're both going to be in at this point. And they could both lose to the Oilers in the make-believes, which probably will happen, but we never know. But they are there. The Predators, I have watched a little of the Nashville Predators team, and they're not bad. They're a decent team. I think they can go to possibly a second round. You got obviously the defense is really good with the Norris Trophy winner last year, Roman Josi, and then you got Ekholm, a very good defenseman. But when I look at Nashville, I think in their division, I don't think they can go super far. What do you think?
I don't know, man. Their vision is very tight. I mean, not considering points because there is a point drop, but considering like the team's skill overall, not on paper during gameplay, it's going to be a tough battle for Nashville. They're going to have to pull something out of something.
And then we'll stop at this one because you can see at the odds. These final 4 teams just aren't going to make the playoffs, so there's no need to talk about them. But the Stars went to the Cup last year, beat a powerhouse of Colorado. Not amazing this year, but they do have a really good young player in Jason Robertson. So who knows?
Yeah.
They could do something. They could not. Who knows? But yeah, that's pretty much all of the teams that are in the playoffs are going to be in the playoffs. So let's just end it off right here. Who do you think that could win the Stanley Cup? And I wouldn't say the Caps because you're a Caps fan, unless you really think that.
If I were my best pick, I would have to say the depth that this team has, and the team I'm about to say is Vegas. I mean, sure, it is the first 3 years in the league. I mean, they're still growing. They can have an even brighter future ahead of them. But right now, I mean, they're just hot. I mean, first in their league. I mean, first in their division. I mean, I think they could do something.
And I'm gonna go with the first team right here, the Colorado Avalanche. And they might not make it far, but I think they have a really good full team. Their forwards are really good. You got a great line in McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog. And then you got guys like Burakovsky, Kadri, third, fourth liner, second liner, and great players. Great players. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Colorado. All right, so that is gonna do it for our first podcast ever. So hope you guys enjoyed. Sam, anything to say?
I just want to say thank you guys in the long run, and I hope you guys keep watching this. Some interesting topics coming up ahead.
Very well said. And we are gonna think about some more topics, and we'll release another podcast soon enough. All right, we'll see you guys later.
Yep.
Peace.